folks. Here are some takeaways from those who were there. We start with Rich Samini, who says, practice 2 in the books. Big day for the defense, which harassed Geno Smith. Rookie David Bailey led the way. 3 sacks unofficially. His quickness and short area acceleration jump out. It will be fascinating to gauge his development throughout camp, especially when the pads go on. Nick Faria, his takeaways from today. Quote, dominant day for the defensive line as a whole. Kingsley Anabari and Jawan Briggs each look good. Without pads, though, hard to tell what that will look like. Big winner of the day was David Bailey. 2nd overall pick. Looked the part. Was the most dominant player on the field. But again, ... no pads. Strong day for passing offense. Geno, GW, and AD all made plays. On offense, Cade Klubnik looked really strong, in command, accurate throws, just the kind of day you want for a rookie. Bad drop, but thought Kenyon Sadiq was solid. Same for Minka and Dane Belton. Nick Faria's key takeaways. Again, I don't want to tell people to calm down. Be excited about David Bailey. He's supposed to be really good. He was the 2nd pick in the draft. Think about it. The Jets could have picked any player in the draft besides Mendoza. And they went with Bailey. So he's supposed to be good. That's what we want. That's what we want to hear. All right. I'm not saying react like Frankie V did the night he was drafted, but that's a positive sign that David Bailey had a really good day for the Jets in practice today. That's encouraging. You like to see that.
Jets select David.
Yeah! Yes! Yes, 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 yes. That's my guy. That's why they pay Muji the big bucks. That's the damn pick. Sorry, I'm going, that's the freaking big baby! Finally, the Jets are back. The Jets are back.
Jerry Rose.
The Jets are back.
The Jets are back. Think about that. Just like that, the New York Jets are back. You know who also is back? The head coach of the NYJ. Here's Aaron Glenn speaking live right now after practice just ended to local reporters at One Jets Drive. Take a listen.
2 injuries that we had today. G. Scott, calf injury. I actually see exactly the severity of that when I get in there. And then Walt Hall, he had a hamstring. So those are 2 guys. Receiver Walt Hall, and I'll see how those injuries are once I get back inside. Today, nothing changed. You know, we're just building up what we did yesterday. So, again, I like where we're at. I want to love where we're at. It's just the 2nd day. But I like the way the guys are working. So any questions?
Looked like David Bailey had a pretty active practice today. Can you just give us some thoughts on how he
he's everything that we expect him to be. And it'll be really exciting once we put the pads on. I think we all understand through these acclimation days, we're still in shorts, but just to be able to see the energy and the speed and the quickness off the edge and the ability to hold a strong edge and the way that he wants to play the run game is everything that I imagined from that player. And it was actually just more than him. I mean, you saw JJ Inkambari, right? You saw him. He was pretty active today playing on the edge. So I'm happy with all those guys. Will did some good things also today, you know. So when it just comes to that edge group, I thought those guys did a pretty good job today.
Just your perspective, just rookie defensive linemen, just what do you think they're biggest as far as like coming into the league? What do they need to work on typically?
That's funny you asked that because just from my years of coaching, the one thing that's an adjustment for those guys is really listen to the linebackers when there is movement that happens. So, for example, if the tight end goes across and we want to jump the front, you know, sometimes it takes a while for those guys to get that, you know, because they usually just get off the ball and going, you know, but everybody has to be in sync. So that's the one thing that most of those guys have to work on. And then just the technique that they're learning, you know. So, but listen, Dundee does a really good job of that. He holds those guys accountable. I think our linebackers do a really good job of communicating and making sure, because if they don't, they'll go up there and tap them on the butt to make sure they do move. So, but we're all in sync when it comes to that. But that's really the development that they have to have.
How big a part, AG, how big a part of this team are these rookies be this year? You got obviously the 3 first-rounders, Pons in the second round.
Yeah.
Jackson's out there.
Yeah.
Today. How big a role do they have on this team for you?
Well, the expectations is for all those guys to have a role, but they have to decide that themselves. And you guys have heard me say this before. I mean, we're out there trying to compete, and no one's giving anything. So they determine that role. And I'm always be honest with those guys in that aspect of, listen, here's what we need you to do. Here's how you can do it. And here's how you got to compete to beat this guy out, because that guy's not going to let you just have it. So, and I want to create that type of environment here, so the expectations, yes, they have a big role, but they have to decide that themselves.
Say about how Klubnik has progressed.
Man, he made some throws today, didn't he? Listen, we knew exactly what we were getting. We understand his trajectory when he got to Clemson, how when he came to Clemson as I think he was the number 1 recruit when it comes to a quarterback. And then he had some issues, but then he picked himself up. So we know that the hills that he's had in his college career, and that's the thing that we're intrigued by him, because he was able to bounce back and continue to go. And to me, that shows leadership too. When things went down, man, he continued to go. So I thought he made some really good throws today. He's still improving on what we asked him to do. And again, we look forward to see how he progressed during camp.
Joe Tippmann is a guy that's been moved around a lot on the offensive line. Just kind of what you've seen from him just during your time here.
Yeah, and when you say moved around, I think it's only been from center to guard. So I don't want to say it's a lot of movement. But I would say this, and it's no different from what I said last year. I mean, he was a guy that, Coach, whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. And I think he's really embraced playing the guard position now. Listen, obviously we signed him because we know what type of player he is. We know what type of leader he is and type of man he is. And that's one of the reasons why he's here. And we want to continue to build this team with men like that. So very unselfish, communicates very well, does a good job of getting along with his teammates, and does a really good job in the locker room. So I'm happy to have him exactly where he's at.
Whether it's Cooper or Mitchell or some other guys out there making pretty good catches, it seems like maybe you have more compliments to Garrett at the receiver position than he's had in his career, other than the year he played with Devontae Adams.
Yep.
What could that do for the offense as a whole and for Garrett?
Well, it really opens us up to anytime you want to try to double Garrett. I mean, we have other, I would say high-level players that can go out there and make plays. And you just named 2 of them that I think is going to do a good job for us this year. But not just that. I mean, our tight end room, which I talked about last time I was up here, that those guys are steady improving. Then you got the running backs. Those guys with themselves can make some plays too. So I'm happy exactly where we're at on the talent level when it comes to the offense. I know Garrett is, because that's going to open them up, just like you just said. So, but we just got to continue to improve every day. That once you get that one-on-one, you have to win it. And our guys know that. And I expect them to do that.
It's kind of a logistical question, but I'm curious if you could share your thought process on no practice tomorrow, no practice Sunday. I'm wondering how the cadence.
I'll give you a small bit of what I talk to the players about. What my job is as a coach is I understand the acclimation from the NFL as far as, man, you go from the off season, then now you in no pass, trying to get in the pass. And I truly understand that. But my job is to acclimate our players to get ready for the regular season. So what we try to do is, and I show them a graph to where the first week, man, the highest amount of reps we get is 24 reps. And then, man, we're going to recover. And I'm going to bring it down. So we had 2 practices on, and then we bring it down for recovery. And then it jumps back up. So the next week, the highest amount of reps we'll have is 32. All right. And then, man, we'll recover again. Then the next week, the highest amount of reps will be 40. So what I'm trying to do is get our guys to be ready to play 65 to 75 plays a game. And that's my job as a coach, to be able to do that. So each week you'll start to see those reps go up. You start to see that yardage that they have to have. And that's the analytics part of it. Yardage go up also. So, and that's what I try to create, so when you say the day off and the days on, you'll see it go like this here. And that's the reason why, man, I'm trying to get max reps, then I'm trying to recover. Max reps, then recover. Hopefully that makes sense.
Are you guys going to go to pads on like Monday or?
Are we on pads on Monday?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The league allows us to do it. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to check that.
You knew Frank and you played with him and everything like that. But
yeah,
what was the conversation like? Because he was out of the league for a couple of years.
Yeah.
For you to bring him back here.
The conversation just throughout, just checking on me. And from his words of, man, listen, I know exactly who you are as a person, as a man, I know as a football coach. I mean, you just keep your process and keep going straight ahead and don't let anything on the outside just deter you from what you're trying to do. And that's encouraging, especially come from him. And I don't know how much you guys know him, but he's a man of faith. Been married for a number of years, have a beautiful family. And man, it is a luxury to have men like that in your life, because we all need men that we can lean on. So from a former teammate to somebody I've competed against, to now being, on this staff, those conversations were nothing but positive, and we've always just talked football. And just hearing what his philosophy is, I would always think, man, I feel the same way. And man, how can I do this as his job as a head coach? How can I navigate myself this way? And he would always give me his opinions on that. And it's been good. It's been good, man. And I'm glad he's here.
Before training camp, there was a report that the Jets had inquired about Terry and Arnold. I'm wondering, what is the current level of interest in him?
Yeah. Well, nothing has changed when it comes to how me and Mooj operate. Man, we're always going to look to add guys that we feel like that can help us. And when I say add, I mean look at guys. Let me take that back. We're always looking at guys that we feel like we can help them. And we do our due diligence. And listen, that doesn't mean that we're going to bring everybody in. The thing is, man, we're just going to turn over every stone to make sure that, man, is this a guy that can help us, man, with everything that's going on, which we don't know. And I let those guys figure that out. It will be a good fit. And we're going to do this no matter what. No different than Russell Wilson, no different than anybody else that we look at.
You and DeMario have had a relationship for a long time.
Yeah.
Now as defensive signal caller, though, how advantageous is that going to be for you to have him relaying your calls out there and then seeing things progress pre-snap? That's
huge. It also goes into what I talk about Duke, a guy that knows me, a guy knows how I think. The guy that knows exactly how I sort my play calls to make sure that I put us in the best position. And DeMario knows exactly how I'm going to call a game. And listen, I know we've been away from each other for a while, but he still understands that foundation that I've always talked about when it comes to playing defense. So he can be able to relay that to the players. And again, I'm glad I have him. And he's a guy that, and this just happened yesterday in the meetings, that it doesn't matter who you are, the best player on the team, but a highest paid player on the team or any practice squad guy. Listen, if I see an issue, I'm going to call it out in team meetings, or I'm going to call it in a defensive meeting. And he's a guy that doesn't blink, because he's a guy that I would say something to also in front of everybody else. And I think that's how a coach should operate. And he doesn't take that as, man, I'm the top guy, you shouldn't say anything. No, he just, listen, coach me just like I'm a rookie. And I feel like that with everybody. I'll go and ask you a question. I know you've been waiting to ask a question. So who was it over here? No, go ahead, ask me.
I was going to ask about Dane Belton, because he's a guy who had a lot of ball production across town, but didn't get the opportunity that it looks like you're going to give him.
Well, that's the reason he's here. He's had a lot of ball production. He's a damn good player, and he's a damn good special teamer. So, again, anytime we can find guys that can help us improve, we're going to bring them on this team. All good? All right, fellas.
I'll give Aaron Glenn this. He's definitely trying to be better with the media. There's a noticeable shift really the entire offseason, but in the offseason, it's easy to be laid back. Now that camp is starting, at least through the first two press conferences, clearly Aaron Glenn is trying to be way less combative, more forthright when he can be with the media. The media is not his enemy, right? The media will be critical if he doesn't win games. That's how it works. You don't need to pick a fight with the media when you're not Bill Belichick or Bill Parcells and you're in your first year. And then you start 0-7. So does it really matter in the big picture? No, because if the Jets don't win games, he's going to be criticized and he'll be out of a job. And if he won games and was an asshole last year, but they were winning, it wouldn't matter. You wouldn't care. We would be like, he put Brian Costello in a locker. He gave Rich Cimini a wedgie. Fans don't care if you win. But he's at least trying to be more open, and he's at least trying to be better with them as far as having a working relationship. I think clearly Jets PR and other people in his circle got to Glenn and said, it's an unnecessary thing. You don't need to add, more attention, put more negative attention on yourself going into a pivotal year. So we'll see if it lasts, but, he clearly is doing a better job in that regard. Even at the end there, right? A reporter clearly had a question and they were going to end the presser, and Glenn went up there and said, I'll take another question, make sure I get this guy's question. He's been waiting. I get small stuff like that. You get the benefit of the doubt from those people. Yesterday, the butthole quote is funny because he didn't want to say the word asshole, but he was basically saying, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I just don't want to reveal, some of the things I realized I needed to improve on. He wanted to keep it to himself, which is fine. Just fix it. We know the biggest thing he needed to improve on was hiring better coaches. How do we know this? He fired 10 of them, including both coordinators.
I'm not trying to be a butthole.
So he's trying. What does it all mean? It means nothing if they don't win week 1, if they don't get out to a good start. But he's trying. So I can at least respect that. Some other takeaways from Aaron Glenn. David Bailey looked the part of what they thought they were getting. Quote, he's everything we imagined him to be. Excited to see him with pads on. I think so are Jet fans. So are Jet fans. David Bailey was awesome today. Aaron Glenn on the rookie class saying that the expectation is for all those guys to have roles on the team. He's talking about the first 4 in particular. That has to be the expectation. And those guys should be starting this year from week 1 on. Now, look, if Pons misses a ton of time with this calf issue, then okay, that's a little different. But he's going to play at some point. The Jake Asman Show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks right now. If you're a sports fan, they have something for everyone, especially if you're one of my listeners and you're gearing up for the upcoming Jets season. For player picks on PrizePicks, you just pick a player you like and you go more or less on a few of their stats. Check out some of the numbers they have for some of your favorite Jet players. Geno Smith, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., Kenyon Sadiq, and many more. PrizePicks should be your go-to. And check out their new offer right now. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you need to do is sign up and use that code HMA. That's PrizePicks code HMA. Download the app now or click the link in the description to download the PrizePicks app today. Doug writes in, last to first, #believe. Doug down in Australia smoking that good stuff apparently. Doug also sent in a super chat saying over under 1.5 all pros for the Jets this season. I think if you're setting this number, Doug, you'd set it at 0.5. 1.5 all pros. Think about what would have to happen for the Jets to have multiple all pros. Now, they did have that in what? 2022, right? Quinnen was an all pro. CJ Mosley was second team that year, I believe. Quincy was first team in 2023. I mean, to have more than one would be a major shock. If you're setting it at 0.5, I think Armand Membu could do it, but he's only in his second year, so it's tough to kind of get that type of accolades. So I would probably go under just playing the odds. Because if you don't expect the Jets to win 8 or 9 games, it's probably tough to get enough votes for a player to be an all-pro. Dave Brigga says, Doug is delusional in his wild takes. Well, I hope he's right, but I think he might be delusional as well. But we love you, Doug. We love you. More from Garrett Wilson. I wanted to play this. Here's Garrett Wilson just talking about why it feels different around the Jets this year.
I mean, it feels different this year. It does, man. I don't want to talk about it too much. It just does. I'll say that. Not that any other year I didn't have the same. No, it's more just this group that we have, man. We spent a lot of time together. We've put in throughout these OTAs, and just knowing what AG, Mood, Coach Reich, all their mindset aligned with ours, and just making just the certain conversations that we've had in the team room, whatever it may be. They've set the table, right? And us as players, it's our job to go out now and get better every day at this point in the season. And then once the real season comes around, let's be ready to play on Sunday.
Let's be ready to play on Sunday. We're going to find out. I also liked Garrett's quote yesterday that A.D. Mitchell's a ticking time bomb. He does add an element to their offense they haven't had, and he should open things up, as should Sadiq. They have the makings of an offense that should be quite watchable, which is a low bar to clear, but you got to start somewhere. The big takeaway today is David Bailey is dominating. That's the takeaway, and that's notable because he's doing it against two really good tackles. 8 minutes ago, Rich Cimini said, another sack for David Bailey. This time he was unblocked and closed quickly on Smith. He's the guy you want to block. Bailey's had 3 sacks in practice today. The first one, in 11-on-11, he split a double team, Membu and Breece Hall to sack Geno. Now, there's no pads on, so the defensive lineman should be better than the O-lineman. And yesterday, the offensive line, Membu and Olu, they had good days against Bailey. So it's nice to see Bailey respond. Bailey's second sack was a close call as Geno did manage to unload the ball. Moments later, Bailey stutter-stepped Fashanu, who fell down. Good practice for the rookie edge rusher. These are from Cimini's tweets. Takeaways from practice. Practice is over. David Bailey was the story today. Kingsley Anabari was also very good. Quarterbacks. Geno Smith, 3 of 4 in 11-on-11 and 3 of 4 in 7-on-7. Cade Klubnik, 6 of 7 in 11-on-11, 3 of 4 in 7-on-7. No one even reports on Zappy. It's almost like the beat has been told Zappy's got no chance of being the backup. And it's set up. For him to win the job. At least that's how it feels. Which, look, at the end of the day, if you're the Jets, you want Klubnik to play so well that he is clearly the backup. Because if this season goes south and you're looking for things to watch as a Jet fan, playing Klubnik at the end of the year at least gives you something to watch. Even if he's not your long-term starter, if he can develop into being a high-end backup, that's a win for a 4th-round pick. Remember that when we talk about this.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.